Hey, you said you saw that Oppenheimer movie trailer, the guy who invented the A-bomb?
Yeah, it's the guy in Peaky Blinders, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything he's in, I'm a fan.
Cillian Murphy?
Cillian.
What do we think about that? Just thinking about that stuff absolutely blows my mind.
Aliens.
Like, well, here's the part where I'm like, all right, so you come up with the A-bomb and you haven't blown the thing up yet. You got a good idea of what you think's gonna happen. You know, like if the first time you cook something, you have the ingredients, you feel like you know what you're doing, but you really don't know until you taste it, right? How good it is. Like imagine, and I'm not talking about a birthday cake here or a turkey.
Like flan.
They don't know, yeah, like flan. They don't know if this thing's gonna like just destroy the world or
In civilization.
In civilization.
Yeah.
Like just think about the guy, I couldn't do it. I'd tell him I'm not pressing the button. Here's the thing, I'll hang around here, I'll get in a safe spot. I don't like what we're doing. You know, I'm quality control, letting everybody know the negative aspects of what could happen. You know, like instant just,
I'll click the button.
I'm not clicking the button.
I'll click the hell out of that.
I'm not clicking the button. You're not putting that on.
You're going to click the button?
I'll click the button.
After you said you wanted to be the cook
Yeah.
on the naval ship?
Look, I'll cook tacos and click the button at the same time.
I'll click the button.
No, I'm not clicking the button. Would you click the button?
I think you're
in the chat or in the comments on YouTube. Would you click the button knowing, hey man, there's a 90% chance it's just going to be a big bomb. We're going to feel great about it, maybe win a medal in the war, feel bad about it later. But still, we're not worried about ending the world. But there's that 20% just in the back of your mind. Hey, maybe I put too much sugar in there. You know, hey, did I leave it in the oven long enough? One mess up. This isn't like one mess up and damn, we got to go just get Chinese food. We can't eat dinner here. This is one mess up just gone. Nobody even knows what happens. Russia doesn't know what happens. We don't know what happened. Everybody outside of the people that are in there, that stuff just, woo.
I see Blaine more as like the chief morale officer around
the guy that's walking around like
how would the chief morale officer be? Like, how would you approach people knowing that, hey, I know we're working on the atom bomb, but I got donuts for everyone?
Like, hey guys, I know we're working on this. It's fine. I'll put goodie bags all under your chair today. I know it's Monday fun day. We're about to blow a lot of things up, all right? But you know what? We're going to do it with a smile on our face.
Yeah. Blaine would have one of those shirts where on the front of it says, ask me about my T-Rex.
Ask me about my Oppenheimer.
Then when you ask him, he lifts his shirt up over his head and there's a picture of a T-Rex on the inside of his shirt.
Yeah.
Did y'all ever have one of those shirts?
Ask me about my Oppenheimer.
Or it'd be like, ask me about my T-Rex or whatever. And then like, what about your T-Rex? And you put your shirt on your head and it's like the T-Rex picture right there. It's great stuff. Really, that and the A-bomb, two of the most incredible innovations of our time. More college quarterbacks announced they are returning in 2023. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers take down the Rams at Lambeau last night. And will Jalen Hurts play the next 2 weeks after a report of a bum shoulder surfaces? I'm Jake Crane, and welcome to Crane & Company. Now, we've all had our expense and fun looking at the Pac-12 over what seems like decades, and the negativity surrounding the departure of USC and UCLA to the Big Ten is still swirling. But the Pac-12 is set to be the best it has been since I can remember heading into 2023. Bo Nix just announced he's returning for another year, and Oregon has a chance to be very special. Michael Penix Jr. is coming back to what should be a loaded Washington team in year 2 under Kalen DeBoer. Cam Rising will once again lead the back-to-back Pac-12 champs at Utah. And oh yeah, USC is returning the Heisman winner Caleb Williams and just added the best receiver in the Pac-12 in Dorian Singer from Arizona. Now that isn't even to mention what Jonathan Smith is building at Oregon State, who's coming off a 10-win season after demolishing Florida. And we all know Chip Kelly and UCLA is going to be dangerous as usual. But one of the most surprising things that most of these teams have in common, excluding USC's defense this past season, is a physical edge. The days of Pac-12 finesse are seemingly gone. And if you take stock at each conference outside of the SEC, I don't think you can find one better heading into next year. And I think there are actually some legitimate arguments that the Pac-12 could be closer to the SEC than it has ever been in 2023. Yeah, you heard that right. Either way, the star power will be immense, and the contenders will be plentiful in what truly is looking like a renaissance year for the Pac-12. I'm going to bring in my co-host, David Cohn, former Michigan quarterback, soon-to-be father of two, an excellent solver of Sudoku puzzles. My brother.
Are you really?
Never done one.
But you would be excellent.
Sudokus are fun.
You took a chance there, and you could have been right. Because I could have followed up and been like, how'd you know? I love those things.
That's true. Or you could have just said nothing and just let everybody assume that I was right. But now we find out that I was wrong and that I did take a chance.
Plot twist, I do them every morning and I was kidding.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Now you don't know.
See, I love what you did there. My brother, former Western State, Colorado, wide receiver, curator of the chat, and hoper that Jalen Hurts will play.
Please!
No, he needs to rest up for the playoffs.
You can't do this to me.
They've clinched. Rest up for the playoffs.
You need that bye though, or that home field advantage. You need to win this game. You need to win this game, Jalen.
You think Gardner Minshew can
Bama, the Oklahoma Jalen, tough kid. All right, I think he's gonna play.
Well, look, we're gonna see. We'll see what Nick Sirianni wants to do. If I'm the Eagles, obviously you want that bye. But we always have this argument at the end of the NFL season when somebody's clinched a playoff berth. Do you continue to play your starters into these last couple weeks so you keep that momentum or you don't allow a little rust to build or anything like that to throw you off the season you've had? And we'll get into that argument. But, guys, I'm sitting here last night, thinking about what we're going to lead the show with after we had talked about it a little bit. And the more I dove into the Pac-12, because it was just going to come out here and say, Bo Nix is coming back to Oregon. Oregon's got a chance to be really special. And they do. I mean, you look at what they've added already in the transfer portal. You get Trayshawn Holden to transfer in, the wide receiver from Alabama, who I think still has a ton of potential. They return weapons on offense, obviously having the quarterback and the stability back, Dan Lanning going into year 2. I think Oregon has a chance to be very special next year. But I kept looking, and I kept finding more teams that are contenders. I mean, Utah with Cam Rising coming back, with what they've done the past 2 seasons with Kyle Whittingham over there, that they're going to be a problem. They're going to be overtly physical. You look at Oregon State, like I mentioned with Jonathan Smith, one of the sneakiest years in the Pac-12. Them in Washington, I think you could say. Who knows how good they're going to be next year with what they have coming back up front, their ability to run the ball, and maybe stepping up at the quarterback position or seeing somebody actually be able to upgrade themselves and become a threat in the passing game. Washington, Michael Penix Jr., USC, enough said. Jed Fish in Arizona, we've seen them take steps. How's Kenny Dillingham going to do at Arizona State? But it's more about the identity of the teams than it is the amount of contenders for me. It is that we are watching the Pac-12 go from a conference that the last thing you thought about is physicality to looking at Oregon and looking at Utah. Hell, looking at UCLA with what Charbonnet and DTR do in the run game and kind of that mindset change a little bit there. The Pac-12 is becoming a more physical conference by the day. And you kind of have this amalgamation of quarterbacks and star power returning in 1 year. Now, I think 2023, with being the swan song, it looks like, of USC and UCLA, has a chance for at least the Pac-12 as we know it to go out to lose USC and UCLA in the best year they've had since I can remember. Name another year, David, where the Pac-12 is going to have more momentum going into a season.
And this is one of the positive effects of NIL. You can have someone like Bo Nix who would probably have taken his chance to be a later round pick in the NFL, but now who says, well, look, I have these endorsement deals. I can come back to college. I can grow and mature as a quarterback for one more season. So you look around the landscape of the Pac-12 right now, Bo Nix now returning to Oregon. You're going to have Caleb Williams, the reigning Heisman Trophy winner at USC. You're going to have Michael Penix Jr. at Washington, who threw for over 4,000 yards this year. You're going to have Cam Rising coming back for Utah. Well, he's a junior, so I assume that he's going to come back. What's UCLA going to do? You know that Chip Kelly's going to go get him one. Is DJ Uiagalelei going to make his way back out on the West Coast? And all of this is before we even talk about the possibility of what Deion Sanders' son could do at Colorado, because he's going to bring him along with him. So the landscape of the Pac-12 as far as offenses go is going to continue to be elite, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch next year. My question is, for all of these guys, and Bo Nix specifically, with the success that he was able to have this year, after struggling against Georgia in week 1, which Georgia's a little bit of an anomaly because they're so good the past few seasons. How much of Bo Nix's success was due to not having to play every single SEC team week in and week out, and how much of it was just getting out of the Auburn system and going into an offense that allowed him to shine?
Well, I think it was a combination of pretty much all of those things. I think we can sit here and you hear us say, multiple things can be true at once, and they can. Sometimes there are binary ways to look at it, when sometimes there's one way to look at it. But when I look at playing in the Pac-12, it's obviously the defenses are not as talented or not as fast. Let's put it this way. They're not as big and fast as what you get in the SEC. So what does that mean? The game slows down a little bit. It gives you that extra half second in the pocket. It gives you the ability to maybe outrun a couple more people. And Bo Nix was outrunning people in the SEC, but you take that talent to the Pac-12, I think it has something to do with it. I also think it has something to do with being in a system where the passing game isn't a pop-up book. I mean, Gus Malzahn's passing game, even now at UCF, it is literally a coloring book. It is what, when you get done as the dentist as a kid, they let you reach in the toy box. And what do you grab? You don't grab one of those silly strings. You don't grab one of the bouncy balls. You grab Gus Malzahn's passing game. That's exactly what it was. You go to Oregon with Kenny Dillingham, an offense that is somewhat competent. So look, and you get out of a little bit of that toxic relationship that Bo Nix had with the Auburn. And I think there's some blame on each side. I think you can blame the Nix family a little bit. I think you can blame Auburn a little bit. And I think it was best for both parties to part ways. I really do. But I think it is a combination of all of those things have led to the success that Bo Nix had and to the success he may have going in 23. I don't think we need to narrow it down to one thing or this or that. I think it's everything coming together.
Well, it doesn't help. It doesn't hurt when you have two NFL tackles as well. You can actually say, Auburn didn't have an offensive line. Bo Nix, half the reason Auburn even won games was because of Bo Nix. They were, that good running back, Tank Bigsby, Jarquez Hunter, good backup. Other than that, receivers weren't great. Offensive line weren't great. But the thing about the Pac-12 is that we talk about this every year, right? Their offenses are great. Phenomenal. They're soft on defense. That's why they go to the playoffs to get their ass whooped.
Except for Utah. I would say Utah. Utah has made defense their identity.
I would say Utah.
And who was USC's two losses?
Yeah, and who's won the conference 2 years ago?
Exactly.
Yeah, I would say Utah would be the one team there. UCLA, maybe. Oregon State, I'd probably put second. I think Oregon State right now.
Really?
If Oregon State right now gets a good quarterback out of the portal, they're top 3 team in the Pac-12.
Well, I don't think that's crazy to say they're a top 3 team. The team I've got my eye on is Washington.
Yes.
That's the team I've got my eye on for a couple reasons. They do return some talent. That was Kalen DeBoer's first year. He's going to be going into year 2 a little bit more comfortable. We obviously have the transfer portal. And in the transfer portal, what do we talk about all the time? We talk about in high school recruiting. Great players want to play with who? Great players, especially great quarterbacks. If I'm a wide receiver that is worth my salt, you just saw Dorian Singer leave Arizona to go to USC. Why did he do that? To go play with Caleb Williams. Because if I go play with a quarterback that is elite, I know the exposure I'm going to get from the media, but I'm also going to get the ball thrown to me, and every game is going to be a high-profile game. If I'm a big-time wide receiver and I'm looking to make a move, Washington is an excellent place to go because for a couple reasons. One, we know that Washington is a big brand when they get cooking. We've seen them make the playoff when they played Bama and got their head shoved in the locker, but a lot of teams have done that. But my thing with Washington is Michael Penix Jr. can make every throw. If we talk about offensive linemen, all right, I want to be in a system that shows that I can zone block, that I can pass protect. I don't want to be in a system that makes the scouts have to project me even more. I want to be in a system that they can look at and say, I've watched him do a little bit of everything. This is where he is. This is where he needs to improve. But I've seen what you have to offer. Therefore, you're a more proven commodity. Therefore, I'm going to pay more because I feel good about what I have. If I'm a receiver, I want to be in an offense that attacks all 3 levels in the passing game. Washington's offense does that. Short game, intermediate game, deep game. But also, Michael Penix can throw the whole shot versus cover 2. I can run as fast as I can for as far as I can, and Michael Penix Jr. isn't going to underthrow me. Whether it's getting the ball out quick, he can get it to me in space and let me operate. The full menu is open when you have a quarterback like Michael Penix Jr., who also, by the way, can run a little bit to extend the play, whether it's a scramble drill to get open and help me make big plays. So I've got my eye on Washington. I think you're going to see them continue to get better defensively. That was one of the areas where they struggled stopping the run. We saw it against UCLA and many examples. But I'm so excited as a person who loves the game of football. It's like the NFL. I want the AFC to be good and the NFC to be good. In college football, it's like we were talking about yesterday in an interview we're going to drop here shortly. I want every region of the country to be good. I want the West Coast to be good. I want the Northeast to be good. I want the Southeast to be good. Surprise, they are going to be good. I want the Midwest to be good. I want the Southwest to be good because it makes the game better, especially moving to a 12-team playoff. But I'm as excited. And that's my thing. We're not going to come on this show, and I'm not going to sit here and just say, all right, this is how it's always going to be. The SEC, it's how it's always going to be. Nobody else is any good really deep down. We're going to call it like I see it. And I'll be damned if I don't think the Pac-12 next year is going to be pretty close to as good when we're looking at a full-throated, full-depth conference lineup as the SEC. Who's returning better quarterbacks? It's the Pac-12.
Yeah.
That's the answer, fellas.
Yeah, no
So
doubt.
look.
I was going to say one more point on Bo Nix. You mentioned Kenny Dillingham leaving as the OC and taking the Arizona State job, which I think he's going to have a lot of success. Will Stein?
Drew Pine just left Notre Dame and is going to Arizona State. It's going to be the quarterback.
Gotcha.
Yep,
Okay,
yep,
Drew Pine.
yep.
No, I didn't see that.
Yep.
That's interesting. But Will Stein going to take over as the OC at Oregon, whose wife's name is Darby, funny enough.
Hey.
But just another example of Bo Nix having to play for another offensive coordinator. Has he had a different OC every year he's been in college?
Jason Campbell, who we've had on the show, love having Jason on, played for 4 different offensive coordinators, I believe, when he was at Auburn. Bo Nix, because Auburn had an offensive coordinator, Gus Malzahn, but it went back and forth calling plays. So not only did you have different coordinators, you had a coordinator and another guy going back and forth calling plays. You remember him and Chip Lindsey and that whole debacle. So look, I think Bo Nix is ingrained enough in the offense. I mean, now he's been in college, longer than Van Wilder. He should be fine calling the offense. But if you're looking down the road, if you're Bo Nix, it sucks as a player because you're having to go through all of that. But once you get done playing as a coach, you've now learned multiple systems and found ways that guys attack different guys. It actually helps you as a coach. But as a player, stability-wise, it's tough. But I think he's going to be fine at Oregon. What's going on in the Booster Club?
Jimbo Eagle, $5 donation.
Oh, is
Jimbo
that
always
many?
coming in hot. He says, who's the greatest college football mascot of all time? And why would it be Blaine Crane if he dressed up as a Stanford Cardinal? Aren't they the
You mean the
trees?
tree, yeah.
Trust trees.
Yeah,
They're trees.
trust trees.
I mean, obviously, the best mascot of all time is Obby.
Nah, I think the best mascot is the Western Kentucky one. The Hilltopper. Just look at that big red chicken nugget. Looks like he'd be running around with the Hamburglar and Grimace.
Hate it.
Ronald McDonald.
Who's yours, Dave?
My favorite mascot in college football?
Yeah.
Oh, what's the Oklahoma State one? The Oklahoma State Cowboy. Yeah.
Yeah. With the stash.
What's his name though?
With the
Pistol
stash.
Pete?
Pistol Pete?
We need to look up. What's his name?
Hold on,
Let's
I'll look
what
it
his
up.
name is. It's probably like,
Hold
it's
on.
not Dancing Rick.
He's awesome. I get fired up.
Dancing Rick.
Dancing Rick.
Did you look it up?
Yeah.
Or are you just guessing?
No. But yes.
I don't think, it may be Pistol Pete though.
Hold on. I'm on it, boys. I'm on it.
All right, let's go to Cal Stringer, $2
Yeah.
donation. She says, build an NFL fantasy team
Yeah, you're right. Pistol Pete.
of only
Nice.
former SEC guys. Quarterback.
Cam
Joey
Newton.
B.
Cam Newton. We're saying college? Are we?
NFL
building
fantasy
NFL. Oh, NFL fantasy team. Yeah, give me Joe Burrow. I'm with
Joey
that.
B. Running back.
Derrick Henry.
Yeah. No, Derrick Henry. All right.
I'd go.
Receivers.
Well, you got 2 running backs, right? Who'd
Yeah,
be the
2
other back?
backs. Okay, 2 backs.
And these players can only be from the SEC?
Yeah.
Bo Jackson.
Yeah, how far
Are we talking about?
Let's
Yeah,
go in the fantasy era. Let's
yeah,
keep it in
the fantasy era. Give
Well,
me.
I told you, fantasy was invented in the 60s.
That's true.
Remember?
Wasn't that MK Ultra?
Pigskin prognosticators.
Yeah, there's a bunch of old rich
Who
white
would the
guys. that hang
second
out.
running back be?
I mean, you got. We know Josh Jacobs is talented, but I think there's another guy out there. Who are we missing? I feel like
Just thinking
it's
of Alabama
obvious.
running back.
What about
That's exactly right.
what about Leonard Fournette?
Ooh, I don't think
gotta
that's
be
a bad
something
one, but
better
there's
out
got to be somebody out there that's putting up more points than
We're
that.
talking about fantasy era?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll come back to it. Let's go next.
Okay, let's go to Greg Hart, $5 donation. He says Michigan isn't getting any love on their transfer portal success so far. Michigan
Number
hitting
one
it
right
hard.
now on 247. Michigan,
Who've been
number one.
some of the standout guys that they've got.
Do what?
Who's been the best player that they've gotten? I haven't
You know, a lot of good guys.
Good.
A lot of,
A lot of good Michigan men. Is that what you're saying?
a lot of good Michigan. But we play as a team.
Well, look, talking about playing as a team, if you want the best sportsbook out there to be on your team, it's obviously DraftKings. You need to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now to get on all the holiday hoops action. Sign up with our code BOOSTER, BOOSTER. Place a $5 pregame moneyline bet on any NBA team to win and get $150 in free bets if they do. That's only at DraftKings Sportsbook. And use our code BOOSTER. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Guys, the gang went 8-2 last night. Adding Cercio into the Crane & Co. Picks Trackers was a nice night for the fellas. I want to say UConn coming back down 28-0 when they looked like they had no chance to do anything, scoring those 14 points, covering that plus 17.5.
Oh, you had them plus 17.5.
I had plus 17.5 in
Ooh,
Green Bay
Baby Cone had
money
them
line.
12.5.
And it was 28-0. It was a beatdown. UConn couldn't get anything going offensively. That's a story for another day.
Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb, for sure. For sure, yes.
Oh, I see what you're... Okay, so you're talking about who would have the most, like the best fantasy scores
Yes.
in the NFL that have
Yes.
come from, not necessarily who had the best careers in the SEC.
No, like how would they do in the NFL? That's where I kind of got confused at the beginning.
All right, Jimbo Eagle, $5 donation. Jimbo, love to see it. Question for David Michigan. You got your cape and your mask on? Outside of Mike Hart, Who is the shortest teammate you've ever had?
The shortest teammate. Mike Hart was pretty short.
The Peter Dinklage I played with Cone Award.
Jeremy Gallen was pretty short too. Great slot receiver.
Dude,
I don't
the
know.
short guys, it's a slot, man. It's just hard to get your hands on them. It's like, you know what it's like? Like short guys, I used to, tell our Nichols or whoever's covering the slot, it's kind of like when you have one of those little dogs. They may not be the fastest, but they're faster because you got to bend down to grab them. It's like by the time I'm bending down to grab you, you're already running with those little legs past me. That's how it is covering those little slot guys, man. You can't get your hands on them. You can't touch them. You can't stop them. All of a sudden, the ball's being thrown. It's like pitching to Jose Altuve. Like the strike zone may be a little bit, the strike zone may be a little bit smaller, but man, if you pump it in there, like he's going to let it ride. You give one of those little guys a little momentum, they just popping out of pockets and cupcakes, all type of things.
Altuve, he's the baseball version of Mike Hart for sure.
All right, let's go to Sister Rick. She says Pac-12 is going to be stacked next year.
It is.
I don't think Rising is coming back to Utah.
No, he's a junior going into his senior year. I haven't seen him announce that he's in the portal.
I checked it this morning. He's a junior, and I think
I look at Cam. I don't think he's a guy that needs to come out to the NFL draft this year.
Neither.
Now, transfer portal, you would think if you won back-to-back titles there at Utah, you would go ahead and keep it there and try and make a run for 3. So right now, until Cam Rising tells me he's leaving, I'm having him at Utah.
Yeah, Cam's really on the rise right now. Let's go to Quasi Terrible. The Washington Commanders have just announced another name change. To honor the CIA, they will now be called the Washington Kennedy Killers.
Yeah, I mean, apparently, stuff's coming out now that what did they say that Lee Harvey Oswald and the CIA were like together or whatever? Shocker.
Who really knows?
Shocker.
We don't know.
Wow. I'm shocked. Look at me. This is my shocked face.
We don't know. Let's go to the Bro Council. What's up, brah? How do you think the college football players is going to go with it being 12 teams instead of 4? And is my Georgia Bulldogs going to win it all, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think Georgia's going to win it all. And here's my thing with the 12-team playoff. I think it should be at 8. All right, I think 12 is getting to the precipice of where you are not watering down the regular season from a quality standpoint. I think it's going to make more games important at the end of the year as opposed to making them less important. I don't get that line of thinking. My problem with the way it messes with the regular season is when you add playoff games, okay, and especially in the world we live in today, you are going to eventually have to reduce regular season games. They're not going to play 17 or 18, 20 games like you see in that league above you. They're just not going to do that with college kids, and I don't think they should. Also, you have more teams that are joining conferences. Conferences are getting bigger. They're having more teams. The more teams I add to a conference, the more conference games I have to play. Look at the SEC. You're adding Texas and Oklahoma to take you to 16. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means now you got to go from an 8-game in-conference schedule to a 9-game in-conference schedule. So they're not going to add a 13th game to the regular season to make up for that. They're going to take away a non-conference game. And if I have to now play a Texas or Oklahoma team, I'm not playing Oregon week 1 if I'm in the SEC. I'm just not doing it. That's not how I'm going to operate because it's not smart business. It's like they say, oh, well, so-and-so didn't pay his taxes. Well, he used a loophole in the tax system. That's not called being greedy. That's called being smart. So when I look at the 12 team, I can understand the frustration toward the regular season, but we need to make sure that frustration is actually set in reality, not on some narrative that doesn't exist. That's where I'm at. And if we have parity like we've seen, not only at the top a little bit this year, I know that Georgia's in it. I know that Ohio State's in it. I get that, but we do have TCU. Michigan's still kind of a new blood in the playoff. They're a blue blood overall, but a new blood in the playoff. I believe the biggest jump we've seen, though, has been from some lower level teams jumping up to that middle class of team and then trying to take the next step. That's where I think you've seen the transfer portal really be a net positive for a lot of teams that were kind of in the bottom that all of a sudden worked their way up to the middle class, and they're not, going to be the first ones to drown on the Titanic.
All right, let's go to JC. Says, out of the QBs in the portal, who can have the biggest impact next season?
Well, a lot of it is fit. You could say Devin Leary, but he goes to Kentucky. How much of an impact is that really going to be? I know Liam Cohen's coming back. I get that. But when I look at a Grayson McCall, if he were to end up at a place like Florida or, I don't know, Auburn were to get a sports management degree, which I don't think they have, which absolutely blows my mind. I think Grayson McCall's a guy to watch out for, but a lot of it is about fit. You know, you look at Drew Pine in Arizona State. I'm not, super duper excited about that. When it comes down to transfer portal QBs, if you were going to say which one was the best one, I mean,
I think Hudson Card can have a big
Hudson Card, yes, but I think
Oregon State, Hudson Card at Oregon State's scary.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good fit too. I mean, he's going from one orange to another. But Hudson Card, there is a little bit of a ceiling on it. When I'm looking at QBs that can really go out there and elevate a team like maybe a Hendon Hooker did at Tennessee or somebody like that, understand that we are going to see more quarterbacks hit the portal. Like, this is not the end of quarterbacks hitting the portal. This is going to be like a quick, like turn on the faucet, then it's a slow drip, then turn it on the faucet. By the time we get to next spring, I'll be able to answer that question a lot better.
And I still think DJ Uiagalelei can go win some important football games for some program.
Like a Power 5 program or like a...
Even a Power 5 program, and here's the precedent that I want to talk about, is Spencer Rattler going from Oklahoma to South Carolina. If DJ Uiagalelei makes the same sort of transition, going from a program where you have to be the best quarterback in the country to win the national championship, which is sort of what the expectations were when you're following Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence, he didn't live up to that. But he still had multiple games through the middle of this season where we thought, man, is he playing his way into the Heisman conversation, beating Wake Forest on the road and with the 5 touchdowns that he had? So if he were to go to a program like an equivalent to a South Carolina, look what Spencer Rattler was able to do down the stretch with back-to-back wins over Tennessee and Clemson. That was huge for that program.
Yeah, and you actually got me thinking Spencer Sanders is another name that I find interesting from Oklahoma State. Here's my thing with DJ Ucone. I don't think he's good enough.
To win a football game?
No, I don't think he's good enough to be a...
When was he in your Heisman talk?
Yeah,
he wasn't in mine, but we were having a conversation.
Well, he had that stretch there
where he was in the conversation of everyone's names we were talking
He had
about.
that stretch there where that couple of weeks where we're like, has DJ figured it out? The shootout against Wake Forest, the one you mentioned, and then we look at that Syracuse game. When it kind of... I've watched him play good a couple times. I've watched him play bad a ton. I just think, and sometimes it's like this, and I think DJ says all the right things, and he looks like he's a great teammate, looks like he's a guy that's a coach's dream. I just don't think he is good enough at football. I just don't think he is a good enough quarterback to be somebody that can go and you say, all right, well, you took this team from a 6-win team to a 10-win team because DJ balled. Now, if he were to go somewhere, like, let's say,
maybe Pac-12,
maybe in the Mountain West, maybe a Fresno State,
Fresno
like
State
that.
could be interesting.
Maybe even, a Washington State in the Pac-12.
But there are more teams he could go to that would make them better, right? Like, imagine if he were to go to a Virginia or a Virginia Tech or to a Syracuse.
Well, here's the thing with Virginia. I'd take Brennan Armstrong over DJ 10
he's
out of
gone
10 times. I understand that, but that offensive line's a disaster. They've got to fix that. But I see what you're saying, that vein
better than the alternative.
Better than the alternative, yeah. I do think there's some places he can go and have success. But when it comes down to being an elite quarterback or one of the top guys or honestly being a guy that's going to play in the NFL, I just don't think DJU's as good of a player as what people thought. And it happens like that. We see it at every position. But I hope I'm wrong because he does go about things the right way. And those are the type of people that deserve to have success, in my opinion.
All right, let's go to Tyler Jarvis. What's up, Tyler? $10 donation. Appreciate it, brother. He says, I'm choosing violence. God, the best. 19 LSU or 20 Bama are not the greatest college teams ever. Some of the greatest offenses, yes, but not overall team. We all know that's the 2001 Miami Hurricanes.
They're all right there.
I just don't know how you can pick one over the other.
Well, that to me, it's a lot easier to compare 2019 and 2020 Bama because of, obviously the era that they played in and the way the games. I don't think that Miami defense could play the way that they played in today's game. I think they'd all be out for targeting by halftime.
And if it's close at the end of the game, who do you want to have the football? Ken Dorsey or Joe Burrow?
With Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson,
Terrace Marshall,
Clyde Edwards-Helaire,
Randy Moss's kid at tight end. Woo!
Who's your fourth best option?
Yeah, your worst player is Randy Moss's kid.
Woo! I don't know, boys. Here's the real question to me is...
That Bama team was pretty good.
That 2019 LSU plays 2020 Bama.
It'd be fun.
They both score over 50.
Over.
They both score over 50. That game would be wild. That game would be absolutely wild. But I'll tell you what else is wild. If you're looking for a propane tank out there, you want an easier service when it comes down to getting a propane tank, you need to go online to cinch.com or download their new app to order. All right, new customers can get their first tank exchange for just $10 if you use our promo code BOOSTER, BOOSTER. Go to cinch.com, that's CYNCH.com, or download the Cinch app. Use that promo code BOOSTER to get your first tank exchange for just $10. That is CYNCH.com using code BOOSTER. This is a limited time offer. You must live within a Cinch service area to redeem it. Visit cinch.com/offer for details. Cone, you used it when we did the Low Country Boil. They deliver the propane tank to your house. You don't even have to be there.
Nope.
Okay? Welcome to the future, everybody. You know, you used to have to go down, get the propane tank, exchange it, talk to that weird guy there, you know, who's never shuts up, and then you can go to your house. Now, guess what? You can be at work. You can be out fly fishing. You can be like Robert Oppenheimer trying to split the atom and in World War II. And guess what? You come home, and there's a propane tank there. That's what cinch.com is.
I've lived it.
You've lived it.
I've lived it.
You've lived that life.
We did the Low Country Boil together with the Cinch tank. Next up is the steamed oysters. We still have not done the fried turkey, though.
We've got to do
But I'm not doing that without your help.
We've got to do.
your
There's a couple
expertise.
rules with fried turkey. Make sure you inject it with the right Creole seasoning, stuff like that, and don't put the frozen turkey in the grease.
That's what everyone keeps saying.
That makes it
and you know, immediately,
Speaking of
the
Oppenheimer.
child, the
speaking of
Oppenheimer comes out in me. And
Well, that's really what they
I want to put the frozen
No, that is
turkey.
how he made it.
That's how he made it.
Well, all the A-bomb was a bunch of frozen turkeys.
I was
just
watching the
boiling water
trailer and I
under
thought,
there.
is that a turkey?
You heard gobbles in the background, didn't you?
Yeah.
Great sound effects.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you.
Let's go to Jimbo Ego, another $5 donation. Appreciate it, Jimbo. Hashtag question for Crane Company. Who's your dark horse for the Super Bowl this season, and why is it the New York Giants?
What does dark horse mean?
It's definitely not the
It's
New
a
York
horse
Giants.
that's dark and pigment under
So
skin.
you have a light horse, and then it's brother.
Are we going by odds or by record?
I would think, again, it's easy
bit
to
of
sit
both.
here and say, oh, Chiefs.
They're not a dark horse.
Oh, Bills.
Legitimate dark horse.
That's what I'm trying to explain what I'm explaining to Cone. Blaine.
I think Cone gets it.
No, he asked.
No, what are the
is it
metrics?
odds? He's literally asking a question. To me, when I look at
Why are
dark
you looking
horse,
at me like that? What are we defining as a dark
the Chiefs
horse?
are a dark horse for the Super Bowl, guys.
No, they're not. I think that's what he's saying.
Like it's obviously nothing through 1 through 4, right?
All right, who are you taking?
Give me the Lions.
Really?
Yeah, really.
For the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Where are the Bengals at in the top 4? Would you put them in the top 4? Chiefs?
I mean, they're
Bills.
leading the AFC North. They're 10-4. I mean, if anything, you'd say your Chargers are 8-6.
No, you know what I'm gonna say?
I want the Chargers.
You know what I'm saying? The Buccaneers.
The Bucks. Now
Tom
there's a
Brady.
bold
You know who
pick.
you're going to play first round
Who?
at home.
Eagles.
Cowboys.
Oh.
Wait.
And the Cowboys just Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the Vikings? No, don't believe in it. Don't believe in it. You're not gonna be able to keep coming back like this. You're not gonna be able to keep doing it. You're gonna get down
Are
to
the
the playoffs
Bengals
to
still a
team
dark
that's
horse?
fully functional. No, they're
Bengals a dark
I don't
horse?
think the Bengals are a dark horse anymore after playing in the
I think
last
the
year.
Ravens are more of a dark horse.
All right. So
Ravens? Yeah.
we're supposed to have Ross Tucker on. He is under the weather this morning. So look, sometimes we hope Ross feels better. We're going to get him back soon. But sometimes you got to call an audible. You got to come to kill. So you know what? We're going to go into NFL quick hitch here.
NFL quick hitch.
Here we go. Get
Well, let's
the ball
start
out.
with last night's Monday Night Football game. Packers beat the Rams. No Baker Mayfield magic last night.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Look, it was a better game than what I thought it was going to be. It was absolutely freezing. It's hard to tell through the screen when you're looking at the players, but when they look at the sideline and Sean McVay looks like the kid from the Christmas Story, it's cold. A.J. Dillon, what they're able to do on the ground, at the end of the day, Green Bay was able to line up and run the ball when they had to. Aaron wasn't deadly Aaron, especially the pick he threw early was a bad throw. But the Rams right now, they're just trying to get through it. It's like beating a hangover. Sometimes you just got to hang in there, let it get done. Baker Mayfield, after last week, the craziness that ended that game, that 98-yard drive when he didn't even know what was in the playbook. The Rams, it is what it is at this point. Not a bad game, but just been disappointed with Monday nights and Thursday nights this year in the NFL.
Well, the Rams are in a sticky situation. They don't have a first-round pick for like 3 years.
Now
Now you got to think Matthew Stafford, not a lot of time left. Aaron Donald, not a lot of time left. You still have Cooper Kupp, who is somewhat injury-prone. And the Rams next couple of years could be in a dangerous spot. I mean, you got to think right now they have the worst record after coming off a Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's bad.
So I mean, it's great. Sean McVay, you got your Super Bowl. That's great. Everyone's happy about it. These next years aren't looking. Your offensive line is the worst than.
Well, that year after, they're going to give you a little break. That year after, it's that second year. if you struggled the first year after you won the Super Bowl. That's when you start hearing all right, was it kind of fluky? We started hearing that with Doug Peterson, with the Eagles, and in that situation as well.
I saw a stat yesterday that the Rams have started 14 different offensive linemen this season, which is the most ever for a team since 1950 in a non-strike year.
You don't want to be playing musical chairs in any position, but especially up front on the offensive line where you're having to continue to build chemistry throughout the year. That's just not a good situation.
So what about the Packers then? I mean, the Packers, the Rams officially eliminated from playoff contention yesterday, but the Packers are still somewhat in it. They're not leading the NFC like we thought they could potentially be entering the year. Obviously traded away their biggest weapon in Devontae Adams. But what's their ceiling this season?
Well, the problem with the Packers is they're not great at anything. Like, they're just good in spots. I mean, Christian Watson's come on. You do have somewhat of a two-headed monster with A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. But, I mean, what do you look at the Packers and go, man, that scares me? Aaron Rodgers with no weapons. Really, I mean, what at the end of the day, when you have to have guys that have to go make plays where it's not on Aaron Rodgers anymore, where the ball's in the air, you got to go get it. Or you have to have a defense that's got to hold somebody to 10 or less points. I just don't think the Packers have the personnel right now. They're not great at anything. They're just good at something. You know what? The Bengals and some of these teams that we've seen make the Super Bowl, they may not be the most balanced team, but they're great at something. They are great at something. When the Patriots were doing what they were doing, when Tom wasn't dominating on offense, they were unbelievable in the secondary. Unbelievable in the secondary. You have to be great at something. I don't think the Packers are great at anything.
We talked about this a little bit. Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts, the 13-1 Eagles, sprained shoulder, Blaine. What's going to happen here with this situation?
I'm going to lose in fantasy. That's what's going to happen.
I don't mind that.
Yeah, I bet you don't. Don't worry. I'm trying to work something up with the commissioner. Maybe I get Davies in my pocket.
Thanks for telling me.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't tell everybody that you're.
That's fine. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If it's going to happen, I can make it happen, and y'all can't do anything to stop me.
Yeah.
I'm the co-commissioner of the league, bud.
He just uses your handle.
No, you can't. You can do nothing.
Yeah, we literally had 3 people in our ear just
in my voice.
Stop Blaine at any point in time.
I don't know. I mean, let's be honest here, Jalen. I mean, 1, he's always been a tough kid, and 2, I mean, you want that number 1 spot? You want that home field advantage. You want that bye. You can do that this weekend against the Cowboys. All right? You can do that this weekend. So I think you should. I think Jalen Hurts is going to play. Please play. You can't get hurt the 2 weeks I go into the playoffs. Who am I going to play? Who am I going to play?
Backup?
I don't have one.
You don't have one?
No.
You won't pick up Brock Purdy.
So
A-Rod is out there.
You weren't managing the roster effectively, is what you're saying.
I want manage. What do you mean? My best players are hurt.
You went
in the playoffs. I finished first.
Would you pick up Brock
the regular
Purdy?
season?
Would you pick up Brock Purdy?
No.
Why not?
Why would I?
Dangerous.
Well, A-Rod is out there. TB12's out there. Trevor Lawrence is out there, questionable. But I really
Trevor Lawrence has been playing really good.
I really want Justin Herbert, Davies. See what we can do.
The trade deadline has passed.
Drop him.
You're trying to get him to drop him so you can pick him up.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm ahead of you in the waiver wire.
Just a little orphan.
Scared, say scared, David.
Not scared. This game was already going to be interesting with Philly playing at Dallas. And remember the first time Philadelphia beat Dallas this season was the Cooper Rush games. So they didn't have Dak. So that was already going to make this game interesting. Now, all of a sudden, Philly has a chance to clinch. Their starting quarterback may be out. How do you see this one going?
I think the Cowboys are super embarrassed after what happened last week. I mean, the way they lost that game, taking your foot off the gas pedal, and it just kind of goes back to the narrative of the Cowboys can't handle prosperity. They don't know how to handle it. You give them something good, you give them an inch, and they try and take a mile. I do feel like that defense, even if Jalen Hurts plays, they know his shoulder's messed up. I know his shoulder's messed up. I don't think he's going to run as much as what he's done. So it does make them more one-dimensional. If the Cowboys and Micah Parsons, Van Der Esch hurt a different part of his neck than the one that kept him out in 2019. We'll see with him that we all know how necks are in the NFL. That doesn't exactly get better super quick, and you don't go out there and you're able to hide it, especially when you play middle linebacker. I do think, though, if Jalen Hurts is not able to run the ball, that offense becomes very vulnerable, even with A.J. Brown, because the Cowboys do have some guys in the back end, whether it's Diggs, a couple of those guys that are able to affect the passing game and not only keep you from scoring touchdowns, but turning you over. I actually like the Cowboys in this game right now.
Jalen Hurts has not only been running and using his legs effectively all season, but he's proven to be the most automatic first down getter on quarterback sneaks since Tom Brady.
It's the best. He's the best.
It's unbelievable. They're lining up in this formation.
I love it.
Can push.
The push is BS. It's BS.
But before you get to that, and I know what you're going to say on that, and I agree with you on the forward progress rule. But that sort of tactical play comes with a consequence. And that consequence is you can get injured more easily than quarterbacks who aren't quarterback sneaking at all times. And that's what we're seeing.
Why do you think the Browns bring in Jacoby Brissett every time they do it?
Mm-hmm.
I know he's bigger, but if it's me, I would have Taysom Hill if I'm the Saints.
Yeah.
You're automatically my QB sneak guy, something like that. So I'm not having Jalen Hurts.
Well, I don't mind. One, I'm enjoying being Jalen Hurts because I want those rushing touchdown points. And two, I'm sick of all this Cowboys defense talk. I'm sick of it. It's people talking about the 85 Bears, this and that. You just gave up 500-plus yards to a Jaguars team and hadn't beat a team from the NFC since 2017. Michael Parsons has disappeared. Your secondary is a liability.
Micah Parsons has disappeared.
Well, what is he? I mean, when's the last time?
He may win.
I got a sack the last three games.
He got a sack against the Jags.
Not this defense.
He got a sack.
You just gave up 500-plus yards to the Jags. Almost gave up 500-plus yards to the Houston Texans. And we want to sit here and start talking about they are soft on defense. They are absolutely soft.
Cowboys?
Yes.
I don't know, man.
Absolutely. It will cost y'all.
I get hot
take. It will cost y'all in the playoffs.
At the exact same time that Michael Parsons had to delete all his tweets regarding...
Well, you're too worried about the Eagles, buddy. You're talking about Jalen Hurts. You can't even beat the Jaguars. The Jaguars.
Jay, do you want to make your point on the forward progress?
Yes, I do. Hold on. I watched Micah Parsons.
He's not going to win. He's not going to win defensive player.
Let's see. Let me look at this real quick.
Stats last game?
Yeah, I'm looking them up. Let's see. Let me find it. Takes a second here. Micah Parsons. Let's see. He had sack, tackle for loss, 2 quarterback hits, and a fumble recovery. Man, he sucks.
Oh, God, those are just gaudy numbers,
Micah Parsons.
Those are just gaudy numbers.
Micah Parsons may win Defensive Player of the Year.
Not anymore.
He's still in the hunt.
Yeah,
not anymore.
I wouldn't. Look, it's the NFL. You have some good and you have some bad. That's what happens in that league. It's tough to be dominant on one side of the ball the whole year. The 49ers are the best defense in the NFL. I don't think anybody can argue that. But being able to come out and shut everybody out every single week, it's just not going to happen. It's the same reason I've watched the Texans be able to score they scored, 34 against the Chiefs? Sometimes when you're playing against elite professional players.
Well, no one's hyping the Chiefs' defense up like they're hyping the Cowboys.
Well, so you just disregard everything the Cowboys have done all season because...
No. That's what I'm saying. They're a good defense, but quit hyping up like they're the best defense we've seen since the 85 Bears. Earlier this season, everybody was talking about how great this defensive Cowboys team just locking everybody down on defense, and it's not even close. This Micah Parsons, these linebackers, their secondary is terrible.
Yeah,
it is terrible.
Did you see the injuries that they had during the game?
It's the NFL. It's the NFL. Who's not injured?
This sounds like you lost
Who is not injured?
I just don't understand how you can say a defense is good, but they're also soft. Like, how does that...
Did they cost you a bet this weekend?
Who, the Cowboys?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
not it, though. No. That's not it. That's not it. Quit hyping up this defense. They are soft on defense.
like that, too, when I miss
soft.
So what happens if they hold the Eagles under 17 points?
With Gardner Minshew at quarterback?
I'm talking about Jalen plays.
Won't happen.
Okay.
Y'all don't want to
the number one scoring offense in the league.
Hey, Gardner Minshew,
you want to put a bet on it?
If
Gardner Minshew can come in and ball.
Gardner Fu Manchu.
Yeah,
you want to see that.
He's got a little bit of that Hogwarts in him. Here's my thing on the quarterback sneak. We live in this false world where everything's even, right? It's even for the offense, it's even for the defense. Well, like I'll give you another example. Player safety, defense. Don't lower the crown of your helmet. But offensive player, you can do it. Y'all really care about player safety? Why don't y'all call unnecessary roughness or targeting on the offense with the ball carrier? Because y'all don't.
We don't ever do that.
It's about letting the offense score points. Whatever helps the offense score more points. Yeah, you want to push them? You want to know the reason why the push is illegal? Because it's BS. So if I hit a guy, all right, and I'm moving him back, and then my other buddy comes in and cleans them, they'll still throw targeting. They'll call unnecessary roughness or anything like this. I know you can't grab them and pull them, but now you can just push them.
Well, make the point of the forward progress, because on defense, if you do it.
Oh yeah. It's done. Like the play's done. Like forward progress on defense. If
5 defensive guys push you back, you get to move the ball back to where.
That's exactly right. But if all of a sudden 5 offensive guys push you, they can just keep taking you all the way down the end zone. It's a trick. We all know they want to score points, and I get it, but just come out and say it. Don't say, oh, we care about player safety, but oh, Dak Prescott can just lower his helmet right into the corner, and there's no problem, helmet to helmet. We'll never throw it against the offense. It's just the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Just come out and tell us the truth. But I'll tell you what else is dumb. If you don't want to reclaim your health or arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition, Blaine. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/Crane&Company. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/Crane&Company to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Guys, look, I've been taking Athletic Greens for about 3 months now. Feel stronger, feel healthier, more energetic. I hop out the bed like I'm possessed in the morning.
Wow.
Like I almost run here every morning. That's how excited I am about it. They've had over 7,000 5-star reviews. It's been recommended by a ton of pro athletes and leading health experts. Go to athleticgreens.com/Crane&Company.
Do it now.
Do it now.
What?
What you got going over
What
there?
you got going over there in the Booster Club?
All right, let's
Your
go
anger.
see if we have a donation. Let's go to Lawrence Robinson, $10 donation. Lawrence, appreciate it, brother. College football scheduling needs to be standardized across the NCAA, 8 conference games, 2 Power 5 non-conference games, and 2 G5 games. That's why we can gauge the best teams along with conference strength.
Look, in theory, I love it. In practice, it'll never happen. That's not the way these institutions are going to work. That's not I would love it. I'm down with it, but there's just too much bureaucracy and red tape to go through for that to ever happen. That would take one all-seeing eye, Sauron style, dictatorship. Everybody's going to do this. They're not doing that. No conference can agree on anything. All right? They're snatching each other's teams. There's no way again, love the idea. I'm with you. I will go to Washington, D.C., and I will walk in that protest with you, my friend, but I do not think they're ever going to change it.
Maybe Charlie Baker will change it. New NCAA president.
Yeah, because he's got a ton of power.
Garrett Frank says it's Dak's interception that cost him the Jaguars game, not Micah.
No, go back and watch that clip. That was not on Dak.
Should have been caught.
Go back. The ball should have been caught.
You got a 40-piece dropped on you by the Jaguars.
Now, what you can blame on, well, you gave up, let's see, that touchdown at the end wasn't on the defense. I think he had another interception, or not another interception, there was a fumble inside the 20. They still played bad on defense. But I do want to say, when you look at Dak, if you're going to get mad at Dak Prescott and the Cowboys about anything in that game, get mad that they totally shut it down after they had a little bit of success because they thought the game was over. That's right. They did 17. Nothing in the second half. Did nothing in the second half once they felt like they were good. Did it on defense too. Whole team did it. So the one at the end, that last play, that ball's got to be caught. It was actually a really good throw. But if you're going to get mad at Dak because the way that offense executed after they got up. That's what I'd be pissed about.
I agree with your point, Blaine, that 40 points is too much to give up to any team in the NFL if you're trying to be one of the most elite defenses of all time. I'll say that. But maybe we need to stop looking at the Jaguars as just some pushover team. The way Trevor Lawrence has been playing and what Doug Peterson has been doing there. You got Zay Jones. He had 3 touchdowns
Past
that
couple
game.
Weeks,
ETN's been playing better. Like the Jaguars, I think, are starting to figure
and I
a lot
agree.
out.
I'm just everyone hyped this defense up so much. It's like the best thing we've seen in a long time, especially earlier in the year. They're not they're not those guys on defense.
Well,
they have a couple guys that are extremely good. And Vander Esch being out is a big piece being out. But their secondary is bad. Other than Diggs, they are bad.
But
Joseph at
Diggs,
corner.
But Diggs is one of the best in the league, though.
Yeah, but Diggs also is a very risky player when it comes to cornerback. Joseph on the other side is bad. And that's going to get them beat against extremely good teams. If you think they're going to play the Buccaneers first round and this is going to be DeMarcus Cousins walk in the park, I'm telling you, it's not. Because there's one thing that's scary in the playoffs, and the Buccaneers have looked bad all year, except for a half against the Bengals. And they play any close to the way they played against the Bengals, y'all will lose that first round game.
I think a lot of the things about the Cowboys defense was because Cooper Rush was in there and they were having to win games, kind of low scoring. And here's the thing, it's about matchups. We all know that. Do you have a pass rusher that scares the hell out of the other team? Yes, they do with Micah Parsons. Do you have a DB that you can lock up against the best wide receivers in the league and say, you know what? you follow this cat around. This is who you have, or go make a play with the ball in there. They do have that. Is it the best defense in the NFL? No. I would take the 49ers defense. To be honest with you, I may take the Steelers defense before I take the Cowboys defense with some of the pieces that they
I take the Eagles.
Like the Eagles, yes, now that they've fixed the middle, don't forget the Eagles were getting ran through like a finish line on that defensive line there for a couple weeks. But it's the NFL. It's gonna be this, it's gonna be that. It's who in the playoffs has elite guys at elite positions and can win matchups.
Funny you talk about Tampa Bay because that was the season opener for Dallas.
Yeah, very true.
Tampa Bay went on the road and beat them, and that was when Dak was playing.
Very true. The Buccaneers, they're just a totally different story. But hey, I want to get to the college basketball shoot-around.
Yeah, let's do that. All right, we had a bunch of games this weekend that we didn't even get to. Gonzaga with a big win over Alabama. That was 100-90. We had Houston beating Virginia. UCLA with a big win over Kentucky. Arizona over Tennessee. And then North Carolina came from behind to beat OSU. A lot of big games there.
Yeah, Ohio State had their first loss. That was a hell of a game, the North Carolina game. If you're an Ohio State fan, you cannot hang your head after that loss. Your team is special, I think, this year. Ohio State's typically pretty good. It seems like they have all the pieces. When it comes to Gonzaga and Alabama, this was a game that Alabama won last year. They went up and played Gonzaga on the road. This Alabama team with Nate Oates offensively is elite. Brandon Miller, walking bucket, plays well in big moments most of the time. He'll be there 1 year. I see the Paul George comp. Comparing him and Jabari Smith Jr., it's apples and oranges. They're two totally different players. Bediako looks like he's gained some weight. Looks like he's a more physical being down there, and he's still got some mental stuff to learn. Drew Timme just took him to school and sat him down and gave him a notebook and said, let me show you how to do this. You look at Sears. You look at Bradley. You look at Clowney. They have guys that can score, but they don't play defense.
Yeah.
They don't play. You know what made that Alabama team special that made, that little bit of the run in the NCAA tournament, won the regular season? You know what they did? They played defense. Unbelievable.
They had that long lefty.
That's what I'm trying to remember. For some reason, I cannot remember.
He's
on the Pels balling.
Herb Jones.
Herb. That team,
fraud.
Petty would play defense. The thing I would be worried about if I'm an Alabama fan is that this seems a lot like the team from last year, except Brandon Miller is what they thought he was going to be, and J.D. Davidson was not. They can get hot and score a ton of points. They're more dangerous this year on offense than they were last year, but that defense is not very good. You gave up 88 points to Memphis at home. You give up 100 points to Gonzaga at home. You're not going to be able to survive in the NCAA tournament not playing defense. The transition defense for both Auburn and Alabama right now is absolutely horrible. But Alabama, if they can fix it defensively and just be good on defense, they could legitimately be a problem and they can beat anybody. Then you look at Houston with that nice win against Virginia, good bounce back after losing to that Alabama team that I think they slept on a little bit, believe it or not, when you go back and watch that game, especially the way they played defensively was very un-Houston-like, and I think Alabama's length had something to do with that. But I really like this Virginia team, even though they did lose to Houston. I think they're a little more talented offensively than we've seen in the past with, Virginia going out there and winning games like 58-54. I think this team can be a little more potent.
They're playing tonight.
Who they got?
Virginia's on tonight.
Right. Not Maryland. I almost bet on this game, but then I looked at Syracuse and Pittsburgh. I know we're going to get to that. A sneaky good college basketball game tonight. The Cuse, very interested. They got a tree. Oh, my God. Syracuse has an absolute tree.
Hold on 1 second. I'm on it. Miami.
Okay.
Virginia's playing Miami tonight. So what about UCLA? UCLA had back-to-back losses against Illinois and Baylor, won 7 straight since then, including wins at Maryland and now Kentucky.
They beat the brakes off of Maryland. They were up, I think, by 38 points at one point against Maryland.
They won by 27.
Ended up winning by 27. They ended up able to handle Kentucky. That's what you have when you have veteran leadership. It's basketball. We just getting into conference play. Some conferences haven't even started. These older guys know you may have a couple tough games. You may have a tough stretch, but you can turn it around. That's what experience and leadership does. Mick Cronin there again. I'll continue to say it. I'll come on here on this show every day and say it. I think Mick Cronin is the Kyle Whittingham of college basketball. I think he's one of the most underrated coaches. People do give him props, but all he's done is win everywhere he goes. So with Jaquez and with Tiger Campbell, I know Johnny Juzang is gone. They still have most of that core. UCLA is going to be dangerous. They're going to be dangerous in the tournament, and don't be surprised if you look up and they're in the Final Four.
So, Blaine, the top 5 right now, Purdue moves to number 1, UConn moved to the 2nd spot. Now, Houston's down to 3 after that loss to Alabama. And then Kansas and Arizona, who had a nice win over Tennessee, rounds out the top 5. What are your thoughts in the top 5 there?
Well, I always believe in Purdue because of that monster they got walking around. I mean, especially you get in the tournament. I mean, if Zach Edey keeps shooting well from the free throw line, they're gonna be tough to beat. I'm sorry. UConn's a problem. UConn is
Sanogo is a problem.
Extremely good basketball team. Right now, if I had to pick a national championship winner, I'm picking UConn.
I don't think that's correct. The way they're shooting,
I mean,
it typically was Sanogo versus everybody. That's what it's been since he's been at UConn. This is different this year. I mean, that UConn team beat Bama. They handled them pretty well, too. Even when Bama was making their runs, that UConn team, man, is dangerous. If you look, I mean, UConn right now is an athletic program, just got back to a bowl game. I know they lost yesterday to Marshall. The basketball team's ranked in the top 3. Dave Benedict, one of the best athletic directors in the country, somebody from the SEC is going to go snag this guy. I'm just telling you, they're going to go snag him and they're going to bread him up.
So Texas down to 7, still 9-1. They're also undefeated since losing to Illinois. 3 straight wins. Obviously, Chris Beard suspended from the team. How much of a distraction is this going to be for Texas? What's their ceiling now?
It can go one of 2 ways, and typically they're on both extremes. One, you already have a built-in excuse now. Oh, well, the season got screwed up because Coach Beard got arrested, and how can I trust anybody now when he was telling me to do the right things, and then this happens? Or it can galvanize you because you've got really good assistants, or you've got really good leadership on that team where you go in the locker room and say, guys, look, this is the situation. It is what it is. We're adults here. This is life. We've got to come together. We chose each other, and that's what we have to stick by. I think it'll come down to, as from an assistant coach standpoint, how much leadership, how much experience, how much genuine honesty is that staff giving to those players. I'm not in there, so I can't opine on it. I would think they'd probably be pretty honest. I think you got to be pretty honest and take stock of the situation. I think Texas will actually use it to motivate them. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean you get hot for a little bit and the first sign of adversity? Oh, well, Coach Beard got arrested. That's what I'm waiting to see.
You think Texas will push Kansas for the Big 12?
Yeah, I do. But
I don't know. Kansas
is pretty good, especially the Haru they got running around.
Grady Dick.
Yeah, absolute witch. But I just don't want to make sure, everything is going through with Coach Beard that Texas doesn't get punished. Well, Texas got 1 loss.
Yeah.
It's a ranked team.
Well, and again, it's got I'm an innocent until proven guilty. Okay, we'll see what happens with Chris Beard. I believe in letting the law do what it does. But yeah, I mean, look, there were very high expectations for Texas this year.
Yeah,
obviously. And right now, if you're Shaka Smart and you're Marquette, or if you're Coach Adams and Texas Tech, if you're those 2 institutions, you're feeling a lot better about the decision you made than Texas did right now.
That's all I got for college basketball. A couple other things here, though. Did you guys see Deion Sanders after the Celebration Bowl when he was consoling the player who dropped the touchdown?
Yes.
That's the type of leadership and behavior right there that I think could make Deion Sanders an elite head coach.
I agree, and I want to believe it was genuine. But why are we filming that?
Mm-hmm.
Why are we filming that? I get PR, right? We're in sports media. I get how this works. I understand that you're always having to recruit, and it's a really good look. But some things should be, and I'm not even going to blame Deion on this one. Some things should be between the players and the coaches. We have to stop because it makes it look fake. I'll call it, it makes it look fake. It makes it look like you were doing it to look like something, or putting on a show, or Desperate Housewiving's this. Now, I'm not saying he did, but that's what it looks like. That's something that needed to be, especially if it's truly genuine. I don't care if it goes out on social media. I don't want it out. I want that between me and the player. I don't want that player in his worst moment as a college kid. This isn't a NFL player to be on camera. I mean, the guy dropped the ball that basically cost him the championship. Let's call a spade a spade. Just part of that kind of feels staged to me. But I want to believe the best in people, and just maybe they filmed it and decided to put it out. But
Well, that was one of the problems I had with when he first addressed the Colorado team. It was the filming of that.
Yeah.
That should be sort of an intimate, private moment with the guys, the new team you're going to lead. Before you've even shaken hands with them, it's out on social media. But part of it seems like that is just built in and integral to Deion's prime brand.
It's 2022. Everything's on camera. This kind of goes back to when Jalen Hurts was at Oklahoma. It's kind of pissed me off. Every time after a game, he'd go work out and film it and show it to everybody. Oh, Jalen Hurts this, Jalen. Let's go work out, man. Not everybody has to see it to give you glorification on what you're doing. All right? Just go work out. But still, I don't think there's not a way that would not have been filmed. You know, it's once Deion Sanders, it's 2022. There's a camera in front of your face at all times.
I believe it was his son that filmed it.
Gotcha. Well, still, good on him. I know a lot of coaches that wouldn't have done that.
No, I do too.
We've been hard on
especially
him.
going to another place.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Well, he may need him. He may whisper in his ear, "You're transferring."
And the last one here really quick is just Robert Saleh coming out and sort of taking Zach Wilson's back here. He said, the frustrating thing is that this kid is going to be a good quarterback, but the NFL is in this new instant coffee world where it just doesn't want to give people time. I understand what he's saying, but he's the one who benched Zach Wilson, not us.
Yeah, Doug, aren't you the coach?
Yeah, you're the one who wants to start Mike White. And the only reason you can't because he's still hurt. Don't lie to my face.
Yeah.
Don't lie to me, man. We're not dumb.
I get you're trying to have his back, but bro, you make the decisions. And if you don't, then I lost a ton of respect for you. This doesn't make sense. That'd be like it's like, sometimes when Joe Biden goes out there and he's like, you know what? You're paying less than you have in the last 30 years for this. It's like, no, I'm not, and you control it. I'm paying more than I have in the past 30 years. This is on you. Don't tell me something. Oh, well, I got nothing to do with it. This is instant. No, you benched him. You said he needed some time to regroup. Okay, well, now don't come out and say, oh, it's an instant coffee world. That ain't it, man. That ain't it. What do we got in the club?
Club, JC, a $5 donation. He says, does Alabama continue to struggle next season with the guys that will lose? They will lose to the portal in the NFL draft.
I mean, are we calling 10-2 struggling? Is that where we're at?
That's what
Bama,
you know.
Man.
If that's where we're at, then put me on the struggle bus.
That's when you put the standard
put me
up
on
here.
the struggle bus. I'd love to struggle every year. I'd struggle 10-2 every year, especially with a 12-team playoff. I'll struggle 10-2. That's me. I know what the standard is at Alabama. Look, when you recruit at that level and you see what they're already doing in the transfer portal, I'm not worried about Alabama. There's a lot of stuff I'm worried about. Is it going to snow on Thursday? Is my car ready?
Is it snowing this week?
Is anybody walking around the neighborhood that shouldn't be there? Did my dog take his heartworm medicine? Did I pay my taxes this year? I'm not worried about Nick Saban in Alabama. Of
Apparently it's going to be like the coldest
course it is.
Christmas ever.
White Christmas, baby.
Except for Florida.
Of course it is. Global warming.
It's taking over the entire country except for
The reason
Florida.
it's going to be so cold is because of global warming. Because that makes sense.
Okay, Garrett Frank says, also blame the reason Kelvin Joseph is playing. I know, because of injuries. They lost Anthony Brown and Jordan Lewis to injuries. They're not starting just because they want to. Well, you did give up 7.5 yards carry versus the Jaguars. I don't know if the defense.
Isn't Kelvin Joseph the one that Seth Williams' son twice?
From
He
State?
sung him twice?
From Kentucky. Kelvin Joseph played at Kentucky, right? That's the one Seth Williams mossed in the end zone.
Okay.
Years, and
Well,
then
Seth
mossed
Williams
him
did that a lot.
He did him. I think he got him in the preseason again. It's one thing to get adopted once and run away, but they found you again.
Wait, so he adopted him. He sunned him.
He sunned him.
He ran away.
Ran away.
Got him again.
Got him again.
You're still my son.
No, now you're officially my blood son.
Gotcha. We're related.
Now we're related now.
All right, JC wants to know, how about UAB with Jelly Walker dropping
They're nice.
25 points a game?
You knew UAB was going to be nice. You knew UAB was going to be nice with Jelly Walker coming back. And, I mean, they got oh boy from LSU, the transfer over there who's a 100% witch. Andy Kennedy, man. Sneaky. Don't be surprised if UAB makes Sweet 16.
All right, Conan, 60 seconds. He's like, personally, I think we need to talk about more hockey. Hockey's dead to me.
I mean,
woke,
right now, like
He dead to you.
they went woke.
They go woke.
They went woke.
They went
NHL
woke.
did.
Yeah, let's go look
No,
at
let's go
There's
look
more
at-
hockey than
Let's go
just
look
the
at
NHL.
hockey fans' demographic.
Yeah.
You're looking at it.
Yeah. Here, let's just look at how's it going in hockey, fellas. Now, we're going to cover it more as we get closer to the playoffs, like we did last year. Very similar. May throw some stuff in rapid fire, but again, there's been some nice surprises.
Vegas
There's been
Knights,
some bad
34 and
surprises. Yeah.
22
What's
and
the
11.
Flyers?
Yeah.
Huh?
What's the Flyers? Where we at?
All right, let's look up the Flyers real quick.
I'm guessing not good.
10 and 15.
Not as
10
bad
and
as I thought.
15.
Still not.
Still in the
not,
hunt.
Not last place in the Metropolitan, though. That would be the Columbus Blue
Fourth
Jackets.
place. All right.
Boston Bruins.
Flint, Michigan
25
Mega
and
Bowl.
4.
Let's go to Sweet Baby Blaine. Oh, he's sweet baby. Will the Eagles continue to succeed without Hurts in this same kind of fashion that the 49ers are? No, I don't think they're good enough around like the 49ers are. That defense, man.
Yeah, now Jalen Hurts, that running element just opens up the pass game for A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert looks like he's coming back. I mean, it's amazing what that balance does for a team, especially the quarterback position. We talk about this all the time. I mean, there was one play against the Bears where they just snapped the ball and Jalen Hurts just ran straight through the line of scrimmage and scored 30 yards.
Yeah, bring that safety.
Well, it's true one-on-one ball.
Blitz,
it's true one-on-one ball.
Jalen checked to that.
Yeah. Well, he's like, hey, everybody's on one line. Yeah, I'm gone. See ya.
Let's go to Baby Sawyer's dad. Will Trevor Lawrence be the Super Bowl MVP in the next 3 to 5 years?
No. They won't make it.
He gets traded off the Jags. Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, if he gets traded off the Jags?
No, I'm saying that's the only way.
Oh.
Because of Super Bowl MVP.
Will he be
Super Bowl MVP
Super
the next
Bowl
3 to
MVP.
5 years?
Probably a better chance than being the league MVP.
Man, I don't think they're making a Super Bowl.
Because
I
if
don't
they
think got the squad.
If you have a team, look, the NFL we saw last year with the Bengals, proven that if you can get to the Super Bowl, Trevor Lawrence has the skill set to ball for one game, plus the quarterback position, if you're on the winning side, most likely get the MVP. Whereas for the entire year, the competition is so tough.
Yeah, you can get hot and go on a run late. It's tough, through a 17, 18-week season to be able to just continue to perform at a super high level against the aliens that are running around there. But speaking about aliens, we've got college football on a Tuesday.
College football on a Tuesday, we do.
Keys to victory.
Keys to victory. So Eastern Michigan versus San Jose State.
Yeah. You know, this one is interesting because Eastern Michigan finished the year pretty hot. Didn't start out great, but what the coaching staff's been able to do there, man, I don't think people realize how hard it is to win at that place. I think they've had, 10 winning seasons in like the last 70 years or something like that. Really ended on a good note. San Jose State struggles to run the ball. You're going to see Cordero throw it and run around. I think there's going to be a decent amount of points scored in this game. I actually do, yeah. I got the over, which we're going to get to here soon in a little parlay. Cordero's pretty nasty for San Jose State. So to me, you have to have some semblance of the run game if you're the Spartans here to be able to hit your full potential through the passing game. San Jose State has some guys who have the ability to extend the field, and Cordero can get him the ball. And then if it's Eastern Michigan, when you look at what they can do offensively, when you look at the ground game, when you look at the way they try to achieve balance, Coach Creighton and what he's been able to do there has been really impressive. I think they're going to be able to pitch backwards a little bit this game, play action on first down. I think that's the key for Eastern Michigan, to be able to take shots down the field, to make sure that San Jose State is not crowding that box, because San Jose State's pretty daggum good against the run at the end of the day, and that's going to determine the success that Eastern Michigan has. So, man, pitch backwards a little bit, be a little bit dangerous. It's a bowl game, man. It's a bowl game. You know, you finished tied for the I believe the MAC West title. So it was a hell of a year again, and that coaching staff, man, kudos to Eastern Michigan. Not an easy place to coach, not an easy place to win.
I didn't watch San Jose State play a lot this season, but they had the loss at Auburn, the loss at Fresno State, the loss at San Diego State, and a loss at Utah State. Those aren't easy games.
No, it's not a walk in the park.
Yeah, Blaine, what do you think about San Jose State?
I mean, I think they're a good football team. I really like their quarterback. I think Eastern Michigan is gonna want to run the ball a lot in this game, and I think San Jose State's got a pretty damn good run defense. I like the under in this game. I kind of bought it up a little bit. JC, you got it at 48 and Toledo +3. Toledo's favored in their game, right?
Yep.
Minus 3.5. I think the over-under in this game is 52.
It's 53 last time.
The Eastern Michigan game, 52, 53. But I like Eastern Michigan. I think they're a more complete team.
You like Eastern Michigan? Okay, all right.
A lot of people are picking Eastern Michigan in this game.
Next one, Liberty without Hugh Freeze versus Toledo.
Yeah, not just without Hugh Freeze, without both your best corners, without, basically half your team. We saw BYU be able to beat SMU in freezing cold weather here. DeQuan Finn is going to play in this game. I think that's the difference for Toledo. Again, if you're Liberty, yeah, you got Jamie Chadwell. Yeah, you're excited. But are you excited to get to the Jamie Chadwell era? Or how excited are you to play in this bowl game with a ton of backups? And places like Liberty, we've seen that the first 22 is pretty good, but what separates the Group of Five from the Power Five is that depth. Not saying Toledo is Power Five, but there's a lot more stability at Toledo right now than there is at Liberty with Jamie Chadwell coming in. You haven't gotten to that area yet. It's almost like you're trying to get past this. What happens if you go down a touchdown? What happens if you go down 2 touchdowns? Without him on the sidelines, how much fight are you really going to see? Not trying to knock the assistant coaches at Liberty. It's just the human condition. So for Toledo, you got to let DeQuan Finn be a problem in the run game. We've seen his ability to hit big plays. We saw it in the conference championship game as well in a win for Toledo. So let DeQuan Finn go. Finally got a little time to rest up, a little bit healthier. And then on the other side, when I look at when I look at this matchup with Liberty's quarterback situation, I don't think they can throw it good enough to be able to score enough points with Toledo. So you have got to have a quarterback play over his head. So what you have to have. You have to have a quarterback play over his head. You're not going to be able to go out there and just line it up and run it the whole game and let Toledo get up 10 points, and then you kick a field goal, and then they kick a field goal. And then all of a sudden you look up, and the score is 41-28, something like that.
And Liberty was already sliding at the end of the season
so
with
bad. New Mexico State.
3 straight losses,
Yeah.
UConn, New Mexico State.
That's exactly right.
That's what we got for bowl games, boys.
All right. Well, if you want to watch the rest of this, remember you can stay here if you want to listen. Head over to the Daily Wire Plus. It's super simple. Become a member or listen on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe. Leave a 5-star review. If you listen on audio, take a little time today. Go give us a 5-star review and share it with your friends. We want to keep growing like a weed into 2023. We're feeling like the Pac-12. A lot of momentum building up. Renaissance year. We'll be right back with bets and more great content for the Booster Club. All right, we are back. Booster Club, bananas.
Tyler Jarvis,
Blackberry.
$5 donation, says, don't feel left out, Blaine. They're calling for the mid-20s down here in Florida. Oh, God, we might have a white Christmas. A little snow down in Florida?
God, I love the 20s.
All right, let's go to
Prohibition, Days of Chains.
Travis Elrod, hashtag Ask Crane and Company. What do you think of the incarnate word coach, G.J. Kine, being hired at Texas State?
I think it's a good hire. I mean, look, you're keeping it within the state, so you know that he has relationships, or not within the state. I mean, he's familiar with the state of Texas. I think it's a good hire. Incarnate Word. You saw what they were able to do at the end of the season. They've continually been able to put up points.
Their offensive schemes.
You talk about scoring.
Their offensive schemes.
You want to score? Look, I know you hired an offensive guy before that, and it didn't work out. But man, I tell you what, I love what they do. I think it's going to work. Sunbelt, man. Sunbelt, Fun Belt. Texas State, you can win there. San Marcos, cool stadium, perfect stadium for where they're at.
Jessup Polk says, if we didn't have NIL to the level that we have it, you guys see so many starters hitting the portal, or are those starters leaving for a justified reason?
No, you wouldn't see as much, but I think I would say you've seen more. You're going to see more guys get in the portal to use it as leverage going back to the same school, which is a smart business decision. You add that with guys that know they can make more money at other places, yes. I mean, obviously NIL, I would say, has put more people in the portal and continue to do so.
And people were doing this even before NIL. Like Brennan Armstrong's a great example of someone. Remember when Russell Wilson went from NC State to
grad
Wisconsin?
transfer?
Grad transfer.
Yep.
So someone like Brennan Armstrong, it makes sense for him to transfer away from Virginia for one more year to grow as a quarterback before he plays in the NFL at maybe a higher profile school. I think that's the type of transfer you would have seen even before NIL. Maybe even DJ Uiagalelei.
Yeah.
You know, you're seeing him leave Clemson to go find a new home, a new situation, similar to what we talked about with Spencer Rattler. Some of these moves were going to happen regardless.
Yeah, well, it's like to get in the process. It's like, look, I'm not going to kick you out, but I'll hold the door open for you if you want to walk through it. It's
all those coaches are doing that.
Now there's just money in there.
All right, let's go to Evan McCarville. Says, hashtag Ask Crane and Company. Auburn guys on set. What is Arkansas getting as a D coordinator?
Yeah.
With Travis Williams, other than the amazing rapper?
Look, T-Will, he's still young. I thought he did a good job at UCF at times. I mean, again, when you're a young defense coordinator, you're still feeling things out. What you're getting is a balling recruiter, a guy that's going to be able to go into Mobile, which is the most fertile recruiting ground in the state of Alabama, a guy that can really go anywhere. Now he's got ties, obviously, down in Florida, being in South Florida there at UCF for a couple years. You are getting a guy that will continue to grow. There will be some bumps and bruises, but you will get some players that you typically would not get if you didn't have them. I'd be excited about the Travis Williams hire.
All right, let's go to Travis Elrod, hashtag Ask Crane and Company. What do you think of the Pac-12 possibly selling TV rights to Amazon?
Well, anything will be better than the stupid decision they made with the Pac-12 networks, the way that they did that. Jeff Bezos and them have more money than anybody on the planet. The Pac-12 right now, you need to strike while the iron's hot. We got a great interview with Chad Brown, former Colorado player, won a national championship with them, Denver Broncos Hall of Fame nominee. They were going to be releasing here shortly. And he talks about, if you're the Pac-12, you don't need to be dragging this media deal out for the next 8 years. If it can fall in between the $33 million per team that the ACC gets and the, $80 million per team?
I think it'll end up being 75, but what he was saying was 65 for the Big Ten.
Yeah, 65 for the Big Ten. Somewhere in between that for the Pac-12 would be the honey hole. You need to strike while the iron's hot. 2023 is a great year that's going to have some fantastic matchups.
Matty Ice, 1994. Did you hear about Oregon's tight end on his 8th or 9th year?
Yes, Van Wilder.
I had it right here, yeah.
Yeah.
Tommy Boy situation, man.
I mean, look, this is too much for me. You're in what? You're in 8th year?
I think I believe it's 8th season, 9th year in college, something like that.
What?
Yeah,
what are you got your PhD? You better have your PhD. You better have it. That is just absolutely wild. That's too much. You need to get out. You know what I'm saying? You're like the old guy at the bar now.
Oregon tight end granted 9th year of eligibility, may return for 8th season. Cam McCormick was a freshman in 2016.
You know, there's that creepy guy who's at the college bar who's like trying to like pretend to dance with the chicks and stuff. It just gives me that vibe. I mean, so he's how old? You're a freshman too. You've been there. You're going to your 9th year. He's same age Stetson Bennett.
He tore his Achilles in 2021. He redshirted his freshman year. Played 13 games in 2017, suffered a season-ending injury in the first game of his sophomore year in 2018, went on to miss the entirety of 19
was
and
abducted
20.
by aliens in 2020.
After playing just 2 games in 2021, suffered that other season-ending injury, played 12 games in 2022, caught 9 passes for 64 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Well, it's kind of like what does Will Ferrell on Superstar say? It's like, hey, Vivian, I just came up with a new dance move. She's like, what is it? He's like, it's called the Move On With Your Life. I don't know. It's just weird to me.
All right, let's go to Travis Elrod.
Back to Travis Elrod.
Travis in the chat, man.
TL. He wants to, I believe it was him. No, it's Texas Ed, excuse me. But he says, don't think it has been mentioned yet, but congrats to the Lady Longhorns volleyball team.
Yes.
National champions for the first time in 10 years.
They're back.
Volleyball's fun to watch.
Back.
Man.
Yeah, women's sports-wise, volleyball, gymnastics, and softball. I'll watch those 3 all day. I'll watch them all day. Women's basketball, I'm not watching it. I'm
What about
sorry.
tennis? What about women's tennis?
No, I just not as huge into tennis as you.
I mean, you wouldn't watch Nadal and Federer play in your backyard. That's
well, if Toledo's playing Eastern Michigan inside, I need to be watching that. I don't need to be watching Nadal and Federer. They're both 300 years old anyway.
Oh my God.
All right, Baby Sora's dad, does TCU's offense play directly into Michigan's defense? I think Okie has an awesome game with 4+ sacks.
Look, when you have the receiver room that TCU does, and you have a quarterback in Max Duggan who is officially, you see him, he's entering the draft. He's going to enter the draft.
Who's that?
Max Duggan.
Oh, is he going to? Before the game?
Yeah, I think I think he's going to play in the NFL game Sunday. No, nobody's a great matchup for Michigan's defense because they're very talented. But when you look at the weapons TCU has, I mean, again, they can attack you on all levels. This is going to come down to will Max Duggan have time? Because if he has time, with those creatures running around the outside, somebody's going to get open. I mean, Darius Davis is going to be just Ewoking his way across the middle of the field. Over time, though, I think Michigan's just better than TCU is up front on both sides of the ball. But don't be shocked if TCU hits some big plays down the field in this game, and this game is tight. Everybody's talking about how tight this Georgia-Ohio State game is going to be. Not a lot of people are talking about how tight this Michigan-TCU game is going to be. I'm telling you right now, like this, sleep on TCU at your own risk. And they just lost to Kansas State because Garrett Riley took the ball out of Max's hands. That's not going to happen again. So, I mean, I'm just sleep on your own risk. Sleep at your own risk.
I've lived long enough to know one thing. Whenever you have a surefire thing, you don't.
That's exactly
so all this idea of, well, Michigan's just going to take care of TCU, that's going to be an easy victory. I'm saying watch out, man, especially when you have a player like Max Duggan. And you're right, TCU coming off of a loss. What I'm hoping for Michigan is that obviously they have unfinished business from last season. I understand they want another shot at Georgia. Either another shot at Georgia or you get to play your biggest rival in the national championship.
Yeah.
Either way, it's a win-win, right? You cannot overlook this game. If you don't spend the entire month of December as focused as possible on TCU, you will lose and you won't get a chance to play either one of those other teams.
You know, we used to call it the don't forget to ask the father. like before you get to the big day, before you ask her to marry you, your championship game, you got to take care of business before.
Oh, you got to check in.
You got to check in.
Mm-hmm.
You got to talk to the dad, talk to the mom, whoever. So if you want to sit here and Michigan say, oh, well, I ain't even got to ask the dad. She's going to say yes, and he's going to be excited. You may not even get the chance to. So I think Michigan is built to understand that. I think that Harbaugh's done a really good job of getting them to understand that it's game by game. This is who we are. So I don't think Michigan will overlook them, but that doesn't mean that TCU will not keep this game close. But speaking about close, went 8-2 last night betting, boys. I'm going over to the board of emotional times, friendship, love life, loss, and whatever that was in the microwave last night.
Is that the bets don't care about your feelings board?
Yeah, bets don't care about your feelings. And when it doesn't go good, you're not bad at gambling. The players are bad at playing. Never forget that. So, good night overall. Again, we don't have our Crane & Co. picks trackers picks every day on here. We need to add space on the board for Sergio. But an 8-2 night last night, guys, Packers came through for us. We had, it seemed like every one of us had Green Bay on the money line and the under in some shape or form or fashion. Blaine, who had the under at 40.5?
I had the under at 42.5.
42.5. Did somebody have it at 40.5? I'm losing my mind. Yeah.
They scored that last touchdown.
They scored 38.
They scored that last touchdown. It's done.
Yeah. Yep. So, all right, here's what we got tonight or today. I think San Jose State plays at 2:30, which I love. Guys, bowl game came on early yesterday, got done with the show, did the radio hits, doing some extra work, was able to watch the game during the day. God, I love it. It's like, it reminds me of March Madness. Like at 9:45, I got 3 games going, and one of them's probably going to be an upset. And I'm already pissed about my bracket, but I love it. So today, give me Toledo +3. Give me San Jose State, Eastern Michigan over 48. That's a 2-teamer. That's at +121. I think that line's moved on Toledo. I think Toledo may be an even bigger favorite than they were when I got up this morning. It looked like they were at least a hook got added. Then give me North in college basketball. Hit last night. I want to say thank you, Liberty. Men's basketball, I want to say thank you, Illinois State, beating Chicago State. And I also want to say thank you to the other team that I picked that I cannot remember right now. Does anybody remember that off the top of their head?
They did good, too.
They did really good, too. I was really proud of them as well. That was a 3-0 day yesterday. So give me North Carolina Central, Nebraska to win, and the Pittsburgh-Syracuse over 139. That is +181. I like this Syracuse-Pittsburgh matchup, man. 2 teams playing pretty well. Syracuse has an absolute llama/tree on the inside. So that's what I got.
All right. 10 of my last 14 allegedly, but in reality, 0-0.
You've had 10 of your last 14?
And O. Okay. I want a little Maction parlay. Toledo money line, which I feel pretty good about. Eastern Michigan money line, which I don't feel as good about. But the boys from Ypsilanti, hey, I think they're going to show up. That's going off at +289.
Wow, you're trying to.
Lot of bang for your buck there. Let's get a little units push. I mean, I know Blaine's already won the month, but still, it's a pride thing at this point. Second pick, I'm going to go with Virginia to bounce back after that loss to Houston. But I want to pair it with Xavier winning as well. Xavier has Seton Hall tonight. You never know which direction that's going to go, but I'm going to take Xavier. Both of those money line. That's another dog bet at +127.
Blaine up 15 units. What are you feeling tonight, bud?
Yeah, I'm going to go a little SGP with the Suns. Suns money line to give me the over at 215.5. It's going off at +125. Then I'm going to San Jose State, Eastern Michigan under at 58.5.
Did anybody else see the Suns thing? There's more misconduct that's come out.
Yeah.
Like mistreating women. I mean, the Suns, every time I look at them, they're looking more like the Commanders.
The organization?
Yeah. You know, but behind the scenes, whatever. All right. I did finish 5th. Obviously, it's 14 playoff. Finished with the 3rd most points and gave up the 3rd most points, which obviously you have no control over because you're not playing defense. Ended up beating Morning Wire to finish 9-7. Again, I mean, nobody's excited about that, but that's why it's called fantasy football. It's 80% luck. What do we got next? There it is.
Clavin got me again. But you know what? If there was one to lose, better this week. We rested. You know, I rested my starters the week before the playoffs. You know, you want that number 1 seed, so Blaine says. You know what? I just want my guys healthy. And look, it paid off.
Yeah.
He's got a sprained shoulder quarterback over there. My guy's seemingly healthy. Let's go make a run. Let's go make a push for the golden tumbler here.
sometimes the safest thing is the biggest risk.
The fact that I won the regular season and even making the playoff, I might be the greatest GM ever to exist.
Oh, here we go.
Cooper Kupp on the bench. DeAndre Swift didn't play half the year. Keenan Allen did play half the year. Alvin Kamara, that's on me. I'll blame myself for that one. But somehow, I witched my way to finish first.
My quarterback,
DeAndre Hopkins
and if I win the championship without Jalen Hurts, I am the greatest fantasy owner
DeAndre Hopkins didn't play half the year. You knew that before you drafted
DeAndre Hopkins didn't play till week 8.
You knew that before you drafted him. That's not like some circumstance.
Somehow finished first without my best player, without Keenan Allen, without DeAndre Swift. But you know what? It's the late rounds in the draft. That's where you win in fantasy. It's the waiver wire. Picked up Zeke, balling. Dameon Pierce, been hurt for 3 weeks out of the season. Rookie, hasn't scored one touchdown all year. But look at me now. Jalen Hurts, that's fine. Don't play Jalen. Oops, ounce my shoulder. I'll fix it.
DeAndre Hopkins didn't play half the year.
My quarterback.
He knew that before he drafted him, Jake.
On the third play. I'm down 9 points. My quarterback tears his ACL on the third play.
Oh, man.
All right, Shapiro beat Walsh. Matt Walsh.
Matty.
Congratulations, my friend. Due to your finishing last in the regular season, just like the bet we made before the year, the loser has to go to a WNBA game. So Matt Walsh, yes, a true glass ceiling breaking moment, will go to a WNBA game, and I hope. Some guy was like, oh, man, wow, y'all, this is just so making fun of women. Yes, it's not making fun of women. It's Matt Walsh has to go to a WNBA game. That's like sending Superman to planet Krypton.
Well, it's making fun of women playing basketball.
Yeah, I mean,
which is funny.
Yeah, it's. Let's be honest, it's not a great product. All right, I'm not saying they don't try hard. I'm not saying there's not some good players, but Matt Walsh having to go to WNBA game is hilarious. And I love women. I love women more than anybody. I'm marrying one of them.
Is it a good story?
It's a good story.
What else are good stories?
Hansel and Gretel. That's a good story. We all know how it ends, though. We'll see. Do you think they let Walsh in the building?
No.
If they know it's him?
No. Which makes it even better because, him being banned from the game doesn't get him out of the bet. This may be just a perpetual thing where he's
got to fly him in
to get different games.
He's got to fly him in, or he comes in a costume.
He's
like
the
The Masked Singer.
Borat this thing undercover.
Pretend to be the halftime entertainment. All right, Blaine, what else do we got?
Travis Elrod says, my decorations were up before Thanksgiving, so I got my Christmas credibility back. I think it works like that.
Yeah, I thought it worked opposite. I thought it worked opposite.
Credibility.
You put this as a poll one day. Booster Club said they were fine putting Christmas trees.
Well, Booster Club also said that Dak's more mid than Kirk Cousins, so I don't really trust anybody in here right now.
Oh, so you just turned on the Booster Club now?
No,
you just turned.
Blaine's a fence rider,
didn't say turned. Don't put words in my mouth. I just said after yesterday, one, I'm disappointed, and two,
I don't know where there's more fence jumping in that chair right there at the southern border right now.
I mean, I don't know. You backpedal more than Michael Jackson. I don't want to hear it.
I thought you were going to say a DB.
No, I thought Michael Jackson was better.
That's moonwalking though. That's. I'd love to be able to.
You're still moving back.
I would love to be
in
able
a backpedaling way.
I would love to be able to do that.
Do it.
That's the best way to
try.
Move
Let's see. If
you're gonna insult me, at least don't pick the best way to move backwards.
Is that the best way to move back?
Moonwalking? Yes, I'll moonwalk my way out of here if I figured it out. I'd moonwalk.
Coach, I thought back like it would be the way DB's backpedal would be the best way to move backwards.
When you're defending the pass, but I mean, Michael Jackson was headed toward the future.
Well, he's defending the pass. Well, his pass.
Well, that's a totally
that's
a totally different type of pass to defend.
Let's go to Sister Riggs. All right, Sister Riggs. Now let's go to Reed Rickett. What's up, Reed? She said they're talking about her and Sister Riggs. They're talking about plants, which is great. Sister Riggs says I can barely keep my outside plants alive. I'm not dealing with a fresh tree. I'll probably set my house on fire or knock it down if they all die out.
It's so cold. You need a biodome, Sister Riggs. Like that movie with Pauly Shore. Have you ever seen Biodome?
Mm-mm.
Oh my God, it's got one of the
Biodome?
Baldwin brothers, like the not famous one in it.
Steven,
yeah. Steven Baldwin.
Isn't he in
Steven Baldwin. It's him and Pauly Shore, and they're in this like dome enclosure. They got to be in there for like 100 days, and it's like this nature thing, and it's hard for me to explain. But if anybody can figure out a way to explain Biodome very quickly in the chat, number one, kudos to you. But I think you'd actually like the movie.
All right, let's go to the poll.
Poll.
All right, will the Pac-12 be the second best conference in football next year?
Yes, 62%.
Yes, 61%.
Yes, 21%.
Oh,
no,
wow,
70%. They don't play defense. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, so you agree.
that they will not be the same.
But you don't trust the booster club.
You don't trust the booster club, though.
Yeah, remember? So
make your mind up.
Yeah.
I made my mind up. My mind was that they won't. I said it before I even put it up. Even I said it during the argument.
snip,
they don't
snap,
play what?
Snip,
Give me the Big
back and
12.
forth
Second best
with this
conference,
guy.
Big 12, baby.
All right, I forgot to say Baby Cone's bets. He wants Duke money line and Florida money line. That's plus 110. And then he wants Toledo money line. That is minus 170. All right, make sure you're following us on all social media platforms. Make sure you're subscribed. Turn that notification bell on. Going live again in the morning. Ross Tucker, hope you're feeling better. Got Rusty Manziel coming on tomorrow. It's signing day, fellas. Signing day.
Did Charles Moore make the Hall of Fame in betting?
Did he? I know.
y'all not
Young
doing-
NASCAR's
Young
11-0.
NASCAR.
How are y'all not doing booster bets today when I made the Hall of Fame? Charles Moore.
Hold on.
Charles Moore?
Friday. Oh, yes. So we're going to start updating it on Fridays, Charles. So we got you on that. It's just easier to do that way. That way we can accumulate everybody. And Young NASCAR is also 11-0, trying to make the Hall of Fame for the
second time, man.
I don't know what happens there. I think we just, give you a gift from some exotic place. But no, we got you on Friday, my friend. Make sure you check us out in the morning, 7:30 to 9 Eastern, 6:30 to 8 Central. And like the chances of Jalen Hurts having two healthy shoulders, we're gone.